All right. I would like to welcome everyone to the New Age Therapeutic Podcast. Welcome to the new studio, right? We had a few upgrades since the last one. And we have some very special guests in here today. I'd like to first start by introducing my co host, Dr. Warren Wheeler.
Hello.
And very special guest because she was one of the first people that we had the opportunity and privilege to treat, Miss Barbara Gill.
Hello.
So let's get started. I would like to start by you sharing a little bit about who you are, where you come from, as far back as you want to go, because people are curious about these things.
Hmm.
Who's in the studio, where'd you come from, where'd you grow up, and these things, and we'll progress into the actual treatment and what we accomplish with that.
Well, my husband and I moved down here from Indiana in 2014 and love it. Tired of the snow, that kind of thing. We were active up in Indiana, but not near as active as we are down here because of the opportunities are more and the weather's better, obviously.
hmm
Uh, I enjoy quilting and crocheting, all that mostly for charity. And I also am a clown, a professional clown.
Really?
Look at the surprise.
Wow.
Yes, my husband and I are both clowns, and we do shows at block parties or at
Hmm.
nursing homes, that kind of thing.
Oh,
It's
we're
more,
gonna.
it's,
We already have to have you back in the studio. I
Yeah.
see this already. So,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
but so that was a little something I didn't know all
yeah.
this time. So
And
that's
then
cool.
in March, we're both competing at a world convention. So
Oh,
we're looking forward to that.
okay. All right.
Huh.
And you look great. I forgot to tell you that,
Thank
by
you.
the way, when you came in. You
I'm
look great.
feeling great.
And that's really, really good to hear. So, I looked at the chart, and it's been over a year.
Yes.
It's been over a year, and Miss Barbara came to a seminar in Vieira
Right.
that we had at Duran, and she was, I don't know if you know this, but our conversation that we had at the consultation, it really impacted me, and let me tell you why. We had a real heart to heart, and you told me that there was a lot of obstacles for you to do this, and that you looked me straight in the eye and you said, Todd, do you think this is going to work? And she wasn't asking me from a clinical side.
hmm
She said, look, I'm doing this partly because I believe in you. That
hmm
impacted me because, it my years in ministry, it brought me back to that. When, you stand up and you give someone your word, it means a lot. And when they trust you, it means even more.
hmm
So I had a lot riding on your success, and I spent some time praying for you. And, but I think that one of the things that is a direct impact of your success was your positive attitude. You said this is gonna work, and by golly, it did. So why don't you take us through a little bit about the procedure? And sorry to get us all emotional.
It's all right.
So why don't you take us through a little bit about your procedure, your experience with Dr. Santee, and then the days following up to when you started really getting some relief.
I was afraid you were going to ask that. The procedure, I felt like a rock star. I really did because you were there, my husband was there, Dr. Santee was there with his nurse and other staff, and it's like, wow, they're all here for me, and I felt really good about that. The shots themselves, to me, pain is relative,
hmm
and what is painful to me may not be painful to you or
hmm
vice versa. So for me, the shots did not hurt because I knew how to breathe through them, and they were not comfortable, but they didn't, what I would say, hurt. And I tried to think back when I first noticed relief, and I honestly can't.
Mm,
It's been over a year.
hmm
In fact, when you first wanted me to do this interview, it would have happened on the year date. I don't know if you were aware of that or
No, I
not.
did not.
Yeah, it would have. It was December 19th,
That's right, December
2018.
19th. Yep.
2018.
How about that? So, you know, how I think because, you know, I was telling you about this thumb drive that she made
Right.
for me because
Right.
tracking this progress is so important, and hearing it in the patient's own words is
Mm-hmm.
so important. So I asked her to do a little something for me, and she did something. Look, she created this production, and she started out by the lake. I guess
Hmm.
that lake's by your home,
Behind our house.
and she said, before I did my treatment, I was so uncomfortable in pain. I couldn't go out and walk around the lake and all that.
Right.
Then she cut to this is actual production. Then
Mm-hmm.
she cuts to another scene, and the one that was really amazing was her because your goal was you wanted to be able to shop again. I
Yes.
remember you saying that the pain had taken that
Mm.
away, and that was something that you enjoyed very much. And she cuts to her in her car,
Mm-hmm.
and she was removing the handicap tag because she didn't
Wow.
need it anymore.
Fantastic.
I mean, that's gold. Like I was
It
like, this is,
is.
and it was so well done that I couldn't hardly use it because people would hardly believe it because it was so well done, and they
Hmm.
thought, I, people was like, did you put her up to this? I was like, I didn't even know she was doing it. Of course, I didn't put her up to it. So I believe that you know your relief wasn't immediate though, right? I mean, it took a little bit of time, or did it not? Because
I honestly cannot remember
okay.
because I have felt good for so long. All I remember is feeling really badly and not being able to walk in the store. When I'd go to the grocery store, even I would get one of the motorized carts.
Mm,
I
Wow.
mean,
to that
I,
level.
yeah, and my
Wow.
husband would let me out at the door.
Mm,
I mean, I couldn't hardly walk even because of my hip,
Mm-hmm.
and I could not raise my arm more than this. So even chopping on a shelf more than eye level was a challenge.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It
So
was both. It was the same side, the hip and the
yes,
shoulder. So we
yes,
treated your shoulder,
right,
and
and
we
the hip.
treated the hip. That's
Hmm.
right. I was looking at the file, and I knew we had treated both. I just didn't know if they were on the same side. And then, you started. It just all of a sudden just came over. The best healing processes I've ever went through is when you wake up and you forgot about it, and
Mm-hmm.
someone has to remind you. I had
Mm-hmm.
I had neuropathy in my feet, and I thought my life as I knew it was over because I'd wake up and it felt like somebody had taken hammers to the bottom of my feet.
Hmm.
And when it went away, it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing when it goes away, you forget you ever had it. That's the best.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, I guess, what you experienced because it
Right.
was just one day you weren't in the type of pain that you were in before. And that's the way you're supposed to be. So it's
Well,
normal.
within a week later, I don't remember the exact dates. Our kids from Indiana came, and our son from Southern Florida came for Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and we decided we'd go play smash golf at Duran.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you haven't played that yet, smash golf is instead of driving the golf ball down the fairway, you hit it like a tennis ball.
Oh,
Oh.
This was invented in Florida.
I've never even heard
Yeah.
of it.
You hit it like a tennis ball, and then the other end of your instrument that you play with is a putter. So when you get to the green, then you putt. And this was on a 9-hole golf course. And everybody was playing smash golf, and I told them, I said, I'm not taking any chances. I feel too good. I don't know if that would damage
I'm
what
so
had
happy to
happened.
hear that.
I mean, I was
Mm-hmm.
afraid it would damage what had happened. I just
Right.
wanted to kind of baby
Good.
everything
Good.
until then.
Uh-huh.
But I really want to go back and play.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to walk a 9-hole golf course without pain because
How
I
about
walked
that?
it.
And that was directly after. That was
That
during the
was within,
holidays.
I would say, within a week.
Within a week.
Yeah.
That's right.
Amazing.
That's right. Did you have an experience dancing? Didn't you go to an event or something over the holidays? Because you had a bunch of things coming up for the holidays that you were trying to get ready for.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here. That was,
You
I'm
had a
trying
lot
to
of
think,
family.
18. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the family came mainly because we were celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary.
That's what it
And it was a big party. We had this
Right.
like 80 people to dinner,
Didn't you
and
dance and
we wanted to, yeah, and I
Okay.
think we did, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we had taken ballroom dance lessons and had to quit because I couldn't move.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't dance, and now I can.
How about that?
Yeah.
How
Wonderful.
about that? So, Dr. Wheeler, what's some questions that you'd like to inject?
Well, I'm curious because I also have very bad shoulders on both sides. About the success that you had with your procedure. What were you diagnosed with your procedure?
With the procedure, it's I don't know, arthritis.
Well,
I
I think he's asking
I
prior
mean,
to you coming to us,
oh
yeah.
I mean, you were pretty much at the brink of surgery. I mean, is that what you were being told? What were you being told prior by other physicians?
I don't. I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
I had not gone that far
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
to consult. Uh, my primary doctor said, "Okay, you've got pain. Here's a
Right.
handicap sticker for you."
Oh, jeez.
I
Okay.
mean, it was probably maybe some of my fault
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't say, "Okay, this is how bad it is,"
Right.
and you know, what can we do to alleviate
Mm-hmm.
some of this? And in fact, our the first encounter with you was at a boomer bash. My husband met you,
Hmm.
and he brought it home, the information home,
That's how that
and
works.
yeah, he brought it home and said, "We need to go to this conference or this meeting that you were
Mm-hmm.
hosting."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he and I kind of got real hopeful then.
Yeah. So you were having a lot of trouble then lifting your arm up because of impingement in your
Right,
shoulder.
and I'm right-handed,
Mm-hmm.
and I was having trouble combing my hair
Right.
and lifting dishes out of the cupboard, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean just life in general. It was not happy.
Were you experiencing sort of a numbing pain or was it a sharp
It was a
pain?
sharp pain.
Yeah. I can relate to that. So, well, once you had the procedure and Dr. Asante gave you the injections, was it the same as your hip that you started seeing improvement within a week or so?
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I can walk. In fact, last Christmas when actually the first part of November in 19 when the kids were down here with us, we needed to go shopping
Mm-hmm.
and I got out of the car and I took off. And they're all laughing at me like, "Look at mom go." I thought she wasn't feeling good. Like,
Yeah,
no, I'm feeling fine now, and
yeah.
I was way ahead of them.
I'm curious what you were taking before you had the injections for the pain in your shoulder and also the pain in your hip.
I wasn't taking anything specifically for
Mm-hmm.
that. I was on Mobic,
Okay.
which is an
Yeah.
anti-inflammatory.
Non-steroidal and
Yeah.
inflammatory.
Um, I think that's about
That's
it.
about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it got real bad, I would take a leave.
Mm-hmm. Had you ever been given injections of steroids, of prednisone, or
No,
anything like that in your hip or your shoulder?
no.
Well, that's
No,
good.
I take that back. Years and years ago up in Indiana, I
Mm-hmm.
did.
Okay.
I had one in my hip.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and because of what I did afterwards, it didn't work that well.
Mm-hmm.
I sat
Right.
on the cement floor for hours, and I shouldn't have done that. But
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
my grandpuppy was dying, and
I
I
see.
had to sit with her.
I understand. I understand that very well. So, so then that was about the extent of your meds beforehand. It's actually good because sometimes we see people and they may have four, five, six steroid injections, and that's left a lot of scar tissue within their hips or their shoulders or knees or
Hmm.
whatever. And it actually seems like that the sooner that you can get treated with the stem cells without the steroids, the results seem to be better.
Yeah,
And
they're good.
that's very encouraging.
I think, this answers one of the biggest questions that I get asked. And you know, there's this technology is so new, and we are part of a group of doctors that share information. But even the people that have been doing this a long time have only been doing
Mm-hmm.
it for 2 years.
Right.
you know,
That's true.
so I mean, you were literally part of the first class
Wow.
of what we did. So the two big questions I get asked is one, how long does it last?
Mm-hmm.
And you are one of the better test cases to answer that, because you're a year plus right now. You're still
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
going strong, but we know that the body, it's going to degenerate. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we know that. We don't know how long it's going to stay, viable, but we know that right now you're still kicking for over a year, and that's positive. I would love to tell people to expect 2 to 3 years worth of of,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, realistic relief from
Mm-hmm.
one injection. And you only got 1 cc in your hip and 1 cc in the shoulder. Typically, we thought that you needed 2 cc's in the hip
Mm.
because it's such a large joint.
Yeah.
So, you know, you were kind of, part of the first class of experimental, let's see how far we can go with this and how
Mm-hmm.
much it's going to take to get there. And so I know that that's going to, that we're going to use this information to hopefully help a lot of people moving forward.
But like you said, and like you told me, that everybody's different, and you
Mm-hmm.
did not promise me any success. So I would caution you to promise anybody anything
Oh,
like
no.
2 or 3 years,
Oh,
Agree.
because everybody is different.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I had looked at a lot of the reviews before doing it, and seeing what uh, success people had, and not anybody said 100%.
Hmm.
And I would have to say that. I mean, I still have some pain in my hip, some in my shoulder, particularly if I've been walking the zoo for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
I hobble home,
Hmm.
uh, and sometimes I can't lay on my right side because it's uncomfortable. Nothing like what it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is manageable. This is an
Right.
irritation.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't say I was 100% cured. Now, right afterwards, yeah, I thought that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because the difference,
Sure.
was so great, and I figured maybe that my body is degenerating a little bit more,
Hmm.
but that's natural in a
Mm-hmm.
year for
Mm-hmm.
someone my age.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the honesty. That's what and that's why we come on here. And we didn't tell you, we didn't preload any conversation. We want to know your truth because people need to know that. And real expectations is what's going to move this forward, not unreal expectations. And you've been to my seminar. You know I don't promise anything. I'm on the other side of not promising things. And if you still want to move forward, we will because I like I said, I take people's trust in me very serious, and to overpromise and underproduce is not the way to
Right.
move this forward. And there's a lot of people out there, and let me tell you, now that we've really got our teeth into this thing, it's all about the product. Look, the place that we're getting our product from is a GMP certified lab. All these other people that we read about and we hear about that got no success, where'd their product come from?
Mm-hmm.
You know, do we really know? Did it come from a GMP certified lab? Were the cells actually viable?
Mm-hmm.
Ours come with those guarantees, and I I can't take credit for that. I only take credit for the introductions.
Right.
The lab is the real superstar of our operation, and so we defer to that. And the success comes from the viability of the cells that we're using. So, Dr. Wheeler, do you have any more questions?
I do. Based upon having this treatment, had any doctors recommended to you to have surgery?
No.
No? Okay.
Mm.
That's good. Because a lot of times we find out that people are promised some very unrealistic goals and expectations for surgery. And we've seen so many of these people that seemingly end up worse
Mm-hmm.
after surgery than they do before. And in this area, since I've moved here, I've met numerous people that have had like hip replacements,
Mm-hmm.
for example, or knee replacements and that sort of thing. And it seems like that when once they got the first one, then it was a second one and
Right.
a third one, and so on. And let's face it, none of these replacements are really as good as your original. Uh, that will never happen. You know,
And
and give you the
a lot of the
mobility.
doctors will tell you this won't last forever.
No,
And that's
no.
kind of scary to know you'd have to
Yeah,
do it all over again.
yeah. And these are major surgeries
Mm-hmm.
too, especially hip surgery. And to think that you might have to undergo that multiple times is a chilling thought.
Yes, it is.
And so we're very pleased when we can see people and come in and that they have the type of response that you've had, you know, without having to go through that difficult of a procedure. My own physicians have told me that if I have the shoulder surgery, uh, be prepared for at least a whole year per shoulder
Mm, wow.
to, you know, to heal and to rehab
Mm-hmm.
and everything else. And that's a lot to go through and a lot of your lifetime to miss when you get to be my age to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mhm.
So I'm very happy to see you, and I was watching you come up the stairs to the studio because Todd told me that your hip had been injected.
Hmm.
I didn't expect, quite frankly, for you to fly up these stairs the way that you did, and that, of all the things that I've seen of you so far, and I just met you a few minutes ago, I was really impressed with
Okay,
somebody that
that was
had the
one
pain.
time.
Yeah,
When I visit our son in Indiana, he has a 2-story house, and I have to go upstairs.
yeah.
And for a week, going up and downstairs, that'll
Mhm.
get to me. I
Mhm.
mean, I won't lie. I mean, that'll hurt, and they know that.
Yeah.
Um, so I only go up and down them once a day.
Right. Well, you flew up the stairs today, and I
Yeah.
was impressed.
I'm feeling good.
I was
Yeah, we
very
are on the
impressed.
51st floor, as you can tell.
Yeah, right.
So
You
it
know,
did
she
50.
actually rappelled up the side of the building. You see? Yeah,
Yeah.
not quite, but your success just gives us a lot of hope for other people, and that they can be out of pain and they can get off of all these non-steroidal drugs and everything. And people don't realize you take those long enough, and you can get kidney damage
Right.
from those, and in some cases liver damage and things like that. And people don't really consider that as they get older. When you start aging, your liver function, your kidney function isn't exactly the same as it is when you're younger, and you're more prone to having those type of problems develop.
I sure didn't want surgery, and I
No, I
don't
don't
like the
blame
drugs either.
you. No.
So I just realized that I'm going to have to ask her that the next time she comes to the studio, she's going to have to come as a clown. That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Professional.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
professional.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I can do
mean,
that.
Oh, I think it'd be great.
I think
you
we should
and
all
your
do it.
husband can be here on the podcast as
Yeah.
clowns,
I
That's
can do
right.
that.
That's right.
and
Because the pain did hinder my performance and what I could do.
Oh, I bet.
Mhm.
And I loved
Oh, no
doing
doubt.
it. And I just was so glad when most of the pain was gone, and I could move more freely. And I mean,
Right.
we don't do slapstick, so we're not
Mhm.
falling down.
Good. I was just going to ask you if you did that.
No, we don't.
And I
do,
thought if you're doing that and you're this good, then it's
No,
really
no.
amazing.
No, when I first was trained as a clown, we
Yeah.
did slapstick, but that was in 1990, and it's just not appropriate now.
Mhm.
I mean, because of it's just not appropriate
Yeah.
these days. But yeah, I'd love to.
I want to come to your next
Yeah.
show, so we'll talk about that after.
Yeah, so do I. I'm
That
really
is- I'm
curious to
excited.
see
I
it.
have no idea.
Yeah.
So, well, I want to thank you because the whole reason we built this studio was for moments like this, and we did it so that other people that are going through your similar experience can hear your story, and hopefully they will at least give this a consideration,
Mm-hmm.
because it's these types of stories that once we get it out there, we might be able to change the
Right.
way we look at medicine, and we look at
Mm-hmm.
the procedure of things. I mean, there's better ways than cortisone and surgery,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that we found it, and I think that the technology is growing. And even since we did your injection, we've had major breakthroughs in the lab. Per cc, we're able to get twice the amount of viable cells now, and it's growing, it's evolving. These things are happening just because, these guys in the labs are having breakthroughs, and 5 years from now, there's no telling where we'll be with
No.
the science. And we hope to be on the forefront of it and offering the very best, that we can. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
Thank
being
you
Thank
for
you.
here.
asking.
And,
Thank you very much.
And thank your husband for telling you about us, because I didn't realize the connection there. I didn't know he had such an integral part of this whole thing coming together.
Yes.
So, great story, and thank you so much.
Thank you.